Thanks, Elaine. The International Monetary Fund cuts its global growth forecast for this year as doubts grow about the Eurozone's ability to claw its way out of the financial crisis. The IMF believes the world economy is running at 3 speeds and that an uneven recovery could be a dangerous one. CCTV's Shraysi Tandon is live at the IMF in Washington with details. Shraysi?
That's right, Mike. The IMF has trimmed its global growth forecast to 3.3% compared to a previously estimated 3.5%. And the key reason for that as well, no prizes for guessing, Europe. That's right. Concerns, financial concerns and risks stemming out of Europe have still not abated. They're still emanating, and that is the key reason for this global growth downgrade or trimming, if I may add. In fact, today, IMF Chief Economist Olivier Blanchard summed up the numbers in today's reports quite nicely, and this is what he had to say.
Growth in emerging markets and developing economies is forecast to reach 5.3% in 2013 and 5.7% in 2014. Growth in the United States is forecast to be 1.9% in 2013 and 3% in 2014. In contrast, growth in the euro area is forecast to be minus 0.3% in 2013 and only 1.1% in 2014.
So as you can see, the IMF actually says that it expects growth in Europe to be negative 0.3% for 2013. That actually puts the Eurozone in its second year of contraction, and that contraction is led by countries such as Italy, Spain, and France. Now, closer to home, the IMF also actually trimmed its global growth forecast for the United States and says that the U.S. economy is only going to grow by 1.9% for this year. The key reason for that is, of course, all the budget spending cuts we've seen that have been happening lately by President Obama. So the IMF actually took that into consideration and says that we are going to see these effects of the budget cut in the U.S. GDP later this year. Now, this all sounds like bad news. Let's talk about something a little bit more positive. Who were the bright spots in today's report, you may ask, Mike? Well, emerging markets and countries such as Japan were really the winners in today. In fact, IMF raised Japan's growth forecast to 1.6% for 2013. And what they took into account when they did this was really consider Japan's plans to inject more stimulus into the economy. And they said they really looked at that when they raised Japan's forecast for this year. China, IMF downgraded China's forecast from 8.2% to 8% for 2013, but it's really no cause for concern because the IMF says that China is going to maintain a steady pace of growth for the next few years. Mike, I've got a fun buzzword, if not a buzz phrase for you from today's IMF meetings, and that is 3-speed global economy. That's the word that was really bandied around today all day. And really what that means is 3-speed. The IMF says that the world is now divided into 3 parts. You've got one part where economies are doing extremely well, another part where countries are actually on the mend, and a third part where countries are still in a lot of trouble. So the IMF is actually emphasizing that it's all well and good to look at these different countries and look at these economies and the figures today, but at the end of the day, it's all very interconnected. So you really want to do, what you really want to see is an even pace of recovery across the board, because an uneven recovery will be really dangerous. Back to you, Mike.
Shraysi.